Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and a reviewer who should have retired by now. You have been warned. This is Random Review.
Before we begin, thank you very much to PandaT01 for joining the Patreon campaign. Someone got tired of the monotony of my normal intro. Thank you very much for breaking it up, and thank you very much for supporting the channel. If you'd like to support the channel and help make sure that the daily videos continue and that the whole channel stays afloat, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. I thank you all for the assistance in keeping this going. Okay, so I've been doing a bunch of these GaoGaiGar toys lately because that's been like the huge kick for me to be on, and I'm not stopping now. So let us discuss one of the most popular sets of toys from the entire series. This is ChoRyuJin, the DX version specifically. So these are vintage 1997, the real deal. Now, to review one is to review the other because these are the same toolings with just a few minor cosmetic changes here and there. So you will forgive me if we focus on one at a time. So we're going to put Hyoryu aside, and for the sake of the vehicle mode, we are going to focus on Enryu, the fire dragon. And we're going to go over all this stuff there, and then we'll bring Hyoryu back in, and we'll explain the differences between the two. First off, pretty sizable toys. If I bring in our familiar Earth Hound mode, Earth mode Hound, that is not in green yet, by the way. If I bring him in, then you can see, like, he's a decent sized figure. Probably about what we would call about a leader class sized vehicle, or what would have been a Voyager class somewhere in the mid 2000s, around there. It's a pretty sizable figure. So not kidding around on the mass, not kidding around at all. Feels very good in hand. So obviously Hyoryu is a fire truck. You can see nice bright red plastic. Not a whole lot of paint to go off of. The only real paint going on here is the silver inside this panel box, and then the windows had been painted black. Everything else is still done with sticker because mid-90s robots. I will admit the stickers, I put the stickers on myself because this thing was almost brand new in box. So I found out that the stickers are actually pretty poor on this thing. I've already lost one of them, you'll see later. But no, let's just focus on the overall alt mode. And yeah, it's a nice looking fire truck. I do wish it held a little better because there is a little bit of flex, and holding it in certain spots, it kind of sags or comes off because a lot of this stuff is not tabbed or pegged in very well. But you know, if you're just driving it around on a desk or on the floor, you're not really going to notice any of that, are you? I mean, it's a decent looking fire truck. There's not a whole lot to talk about. I do like the translucent red on top to get the light bars in. That's not a bad touch there. A little bit of silver there in the side on this black panel. Looking toward the back, you can see the robot mode hands, but I think they're cleverly placed enough to where that could almost pass as exhaust. So I'm going to give it a pass here. Now, because it is a fire truck, the main thing about it is the ladder, and the ladder is telescoping. It's a very long ladder. You also get the water gun on the end, and then, of course, the ladder can also raise up to a good extent. Like, you get a pretty good angle on the whole thing. Are you watching in 3D? You can't watch it in 3D. I didn't film it that way. Why are you watching it in 3D? Alright, move that back down. So yeah, besides that, you can also rotate. So you got full play with the ladder, which is kind of cool. And yeah, he's got a big ominous block in the back. It's just extra parts that we're going to need once we combine them. It had to go somewhere, right? So at least it's part of the vehicle. So all things considered, yeah, pretty solid looking truck. I mean, I'm happy with it. I dig it. If we bring in Hyoryu, plastic-wise, the only color they've really changed is the red to blue. Everything else, the grays and blacks, are still the same, as well as a lot of the deco and sticker choices. You can see pretty much the same thing, except now we're dealing with a crane truck. There's been a utility box switched in for the panel that was on the fire truck, and of course now we have a crane arm instead of the ladder, which of course also extends. There is a peg on that one too, if you want to turn that into a gun. And then yeah, the hook is also hinged, so you have playability there. Again, full rotation all the way. And then back down. This one does make a little bit of a cleaner vehicle mode because he doesn't have that big block for his combination piece. Instead, it's here acting as the cockpit for the actual crane, and that actually makes sense. You know, that actually is a pretty good use of the extra bulk. It looks a little bit nicer that way. So yeah, there you go. Those are the vehicle modes. Looking very nice. Again, to transform one is to transform both, so we are going to focus on just transforming ChoRyu. And for that, yeah, so first we're going to fold all these panels up, get them out of the way so we can see what we're doing. Raise that 90 degrees, and then lower it back 90 degrees on the opposite part of the hinge. The feet are going to fold out like so. Then we're going to flip out the top lights to become little knee guards. This whole section is going to rotate around at the bottom of the waist. At the top, arms are going to come down like so. You want to rotate them 180 degrees to bring them around. Arms will have a little bit of a pull out to expose the elbows. Go ahead and fold the hands down as well. Pop, pop. Yep, not a lot of clearance there. Go ahead and close the waist. Pop the head. Now, for the backpack here, go ahead and fold these panels like so. Put that up against the back. Double hinge this down. I'm going to turn that to the side to give it a little bit of clearance. Split the legs. And that is going to be ChoRyu's transformation. Or, I'm sorry, this is GaoGaiGar system change into his full robot mode. Let me make a slight adjustment here. Alright, there we go. So, very simple transformation, though. Mid-90s, you wouldn't really expect anything too complicated. And besides, for what this toy has to do, kind of understandable that the vehicle to robot would be a little bit on the simple side. But that said, simple is not bad. It is still fun. It's still satisfying. There's still a lot of chunky parts to move around. I'm perfectly happy with how this toy works. So, when he's in robot mode, you can definitely see where the engineering for Transformers Energon came from. There's a lot of familiarity here, especially if you look at the style of the hips that they've created. Overall, yeah, like, it's a nice, solid-looking robot. Obviously, there is one element of kibble, which we can't really do anything about. I mean, it is removable. I should mention that. For the combination, we are going to have to remove this particular piece. So if you just like really get annoyed with the crane arm and just want a clean robot, it is entirely removable. We'll keep it on there for now because that's canonical. So yeah, so ChoRyu, very, very nice looking robot. Like all the new details that are shown here. We will do our familiar thing with our Transformer reviews, and we'll go ahead and give you a close-up to give a good look at it. So, ChoRyu is identified with the antenna on the right side of his helmet, his right, our left, as well as the snowflake emblem as his head crest. Everything else, well, the panel's also going to be reversed. The points here on his left, our right. You'll see different things there. Yeah. It's not a bad look. I mean, I'm actually quite happy with it. It definitely feels like, because keep in mind, like, this is when Takara wasn't really doing Transformer development. They wouldn't start that, well, actually, until the year these came out. So it's actually kind of fun to see what they were doing with transforming robots, and the fact that this comes closer to just being a Transformer than anything that they had done. for probably well over 5 years. Wow, it's kind of weird to think about that. But no, it's a pretty nice evolution. It's a very nice design overall. You see the stickers on the legs there, giving a little bit of detail and definition. The legs themselves, pretty beefy. He ain't falling over. Yeah, I like it overall. Also, they have a gimmick just in the chest where you can switch them over to yellow or to their signature color. It's a very minor gimmick, but, you know, if you want to show a little bit of change to them, you can do that. Overall, yeah, not a bad look. Maybe a little bit on the simple side, but, again, not necessarily a bad thing. Articulation-wise, you're looking at universal shoulders with a swivel here and a hinge up and down. It is detented, so you only have a few positions that it locks in at. You can use the transformation joint to have a little bit of that motion as well. He did have a waist joint in the transformation, but again, that's kind of locked in place, so it's not that useful here. You do have hips and knees that do feel very energon in being ratcheted and that weird angle that these are at. There's no rotation to it. So, yeah, he is a bit brickish, which for mid-90s robot, you would expect. You know, I said it was some of the other Brave reviews. You know, these weren't really trying to compete with much. For the most part, the only competition you had at the time was Gundam, which being, you know, not transforming, you weren't going to compete with that. But as far as just like transforming toy robots, it was pretty much just Super Sentai. So they really just had to be better than that, and they were. They are better than mid-90s Super Sentai toys. If you want to arm him up a little bit more, we can go into the back here, and we'll pop open this panel, which hides this piece. We'll need this later as well, but for now, alright, we can go ahead and flip out the barrel, and we'll give him a handgun. So you do have a little bit of weaponry that you are capable of with the figure. Nice that the accessory stores away, and the accessory will become important later. So make sure you don't lose any parts on this toy. It will be important. So yeah, not a bad figure. If we bring in Enryu, we kind of get a look at the differences here. They are meant to mirror each other, so some details are backwards from where they are before. Like we said, the antenna is now on the left side of the helmet. Point and this energy bar is on the right side. We can take a quick look at his helmet too, just to see. Can my camera even pick it up through the lights? I don't know if you can see. Yeah, there's a flame emblem on his head. It's a round rather than the hexagon shape on ChoRyu, so you get a little bit more difference. Besides that, the major difference you're going to notice is that the bulk that was on the fire truck can actually be used as a shield here. There is a specific handle specifically for using it as such. So yeah, you've got a little bit more accessory play with your Enryu. I will also give you just a really quick size comparison to a standard size deluxe. These are pretty big, pretty beefy toys. So nice to feel in hand. Nice, solid feeling to mess with. Okay. We need to combine now. So, do you remember when Animated Safeguard came out? If you're just into Transformers, do you remember when Animated Safeguard came out and everyone said the term symmetrical docking, and you had to ask, what is a symmetrical docking? You're about to witness it, because these are the guys who popularized the term. So, we're going to take these components, we're going to set them aside, and we're going to transform both of these guys. So, I will remove both their big armatures. We will need these later. And again, to transform one is to transform both. So, just for the sake of brevity, we're just going to focus on transforming Enryu, because we transformed ChoRyu on camera. All right, so we need to take this guy all the way back. Well, not all the way. Raise up the waist joint. This time, this is going to go up all the way. There's two spots where it can lock in place. We need this one to go all the way up. So I need the rest of it to essentially go back to fire truck mode. That's where the majority of this, hang on. Got everything twisted now. That's where the majority of this mode needs to be. All right. These panels, flip them out. All right, and then, hang on. Part of the transformation, make sure that it's clipped in like so. Now, whole back panel goes over the arms. They will peg into place like so. And these will flip down and become the feet that we need. Here at the upper arm, or what will be the upper arm, underneath the cab section, go ahead and flip this part out. Now, there's a hinge here, hinge here. What I didn't tell you, as I flip the feet down, is there is a third hinge. It's a surprise stealth hinge. And that's going to put him in the mode we need him for combination. Now, ChoRyu is going to transform exactly the same way. He's just going to become the other side. So go ahead and find the tabs and the little slots. There's 3 of them, all going up the torso here. That's going to combine all that. And then we take the guns. The guns will now flip out, push the handle in to expose the fist. That's going to lock in there. Do the exact same thing on the blue one. That's locked into place. Now the fun bits. So for the arms, you're going to want to extend them all the way out 180 degrees on this. Go ahead and remove that section. For now, we're going to have them in the side. We're going to be on side-mounted rotations. We're going to have them on the back side like so. Do the exact same thing over here with the fire truck ladder. That's connected there. And now we have 2 other connection points. Go ahead and fold this tab down. This is going to fit into these 2 peg holes right on the chest. That'll fill out the belly and form the torso. On the back side, go ahead and rotate this panel all the way and then rotate the head. This is going to fit these 2 holes onto these 2 pegs up top. That's going to fill out the back side, and that is going to give you ChoRyuJin. That's symmetrical docking for you. Side-by-side combination, extremely unique. Even today, it's kind of unique. We haven't really had this since Safeguard, which is, I don't know, it feels like a missed opportunity, because if it's done this well in 1997, you kind of think they could do it really well now. The point being, that is the combination, and that is a really cool looking robot. Always like this, like it's symmetrical but asymmetrical at the same time. Huge, bulky, very powerful looking. This is like just spot on in my aesthetic. This is so up my wheelhouse. Oh, I am so happy with this guy. All right, so head is going to be tricky with the lighting and all that. I'll try to do the zoom in to do the head. Yeah, the head itself, it's on the thin side in order to fit in between these 2 massive bulk shoulders, but it's a nice looking head. You get the G-stone crest there at the top, nice traditional mouth plate. So a little bit Bruticus with the silver in the mouth plate, but, it kind of works. And then you get this nice, like, shiny silver chest piece as well. One thing you would learn if you looked at enough Brave, they loved their big shiny chest pieces. They were all about that. All right, so, yeah, looking him over, he is just an absolute beast of plastic. Absolutely love the look of this toy. Yeah, articulation-wise, I'm going to warn you, he is all about the combination gimmick. You're not going to get much actual motion out of him. The head rotates, but it does get blocked by his 2 giant shoulders. You do have a little bit of elbow motion and a little bit of left and right on the arms, but he is truly and definitively a brick in this mode, which is kind of unfortunate, but also not really surprising. I will say the details do come together really well. There's not a whole lot of new detail here, but there is enough to at least make him interesting looking. And he's got enough just to break up the blue and red here and there, which, you know, it's not a bad call. Now, you can rotate these forward, because in the show, they do get used as cannons. It's not the best of fits, but you can actually accomplish it. If I can get the other gun out. So he can arm himself that way. I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, but hey, at least he's found a use for him, right? Yep. But that pretty much does it. I mean, I can show you another size comparison. Do you want another size comparison? I'm just going to end on the size comparison, so you're going to get one no matter what. But yeah, that is DX ChoRyuJin. Individual bots, really impressive for their day, and you can see the DNA with what was going to come with Transformers in the future in these two, especially if you're looking at like Transformers Energon and Cybertron. Beyond that, yeah, it's a nice set of Transformers with a really fun transformation combination system that obviously leads to something that is mostly just for imagination and display. So posability? No, not happening. But fun to mess with and fun to transform? Yeah, that's what this was about. And you know what? I'm happy with that. So, that's what I got for you today. Thank you very much for watching. Hope this was a interesting curiosity for everyone who had heard about a symmetrical docking toy. Now you've seen one in person. So, there's your little bit of history, and there's another cool toy. Until next time.